everyone, today I'll be reviewing this movie on Netflix called Love Jacked, starring Amber Steven West, Samir Anderson, and this movie came out in 2018, so it's not a brand new movie. I suppose it's just on Netflix, recently debuted, and I checked it out last night. Honestly, when I first started watching this movie, no way I thought I will finish this movie, mainly because the way this movie started. In this movie, Maya, she's an artist. She goes to Africa, and over there she falls in love with a guy there called Matumbe. Then like later on this movie, like after dating him for a couple of weeks or so, they get engaged. Then Matumbe, this character, basically cheat on her. Then she like basically leave Africa, but when she comes back to like her home, she can't tell her dad like that she broke up with him. So then she meets this guy in a restaurant. Basically, she asks him to pretend to be Matumbe, and yeah, this movie's plot sounds very silly when I think about it. But once this Malcolm character pretend to be Matumbe and shows up in this movie, it was so funny. I was like, I was laughing throughout every time. This actor Samir Anderson, he played Malcolm in this movie. He was hilarious. I was like, it was so funny, especially when he was pretending to be an African in this movie, and he's American, and then he was telling Maya that I can pretend this guy to be African. Then Maya's like, she's African, how is gonna be? And this Malcolm, he basically tells her like, where do you think African American this name comes from? You know what I mean? How hard it gonna be? So once this Matumbe shows up in Maya's home pretending to be African, this movie honestly turned 180 degree, and it was so funny. I think this director for this movie, he is from there. I thought all the joke in this movie were really funny. Yes, this movie is nothing new. I think I have seen this kind of story before. So many times. Of course, the story is very predictable. Of course, you know Maya and Malcolm will fall in love, and you know how it's gonna end. And Matumbe is a douche, of course. Of course, he shows up at the end of this movie, and I'm like, how you showed up? How could you showed up? You cheated on her. What are you doing here? You know what I mean? So I thought this actor, Samir Anderson, he did such a wonderful job, especially every time he's on screen. He has this charm. It's so sad. I never seen him in any movies. I hope he gets more movies because he has this charm in it. In him, I thought he made this movie work for me. Honestly, I really thought I'm gonna be bored out of this movie, but I end up enjoying this movie. And when I finished watching it, I was like, I have to make a review on this movie because like although it came out a little bit a while ago, but it is on Netflix, and if you like this kind of joke, especially all the African joke, so I did see some African people, they're upset on Google reviews. So if you are African and I don't mean to offend by saying all these jokes are funny, because they are kind of funny, like if it's without being offensive, you know what I mean? Like I thought this movie's all the joke about African or all like, you know, they were funny. And this uncle here, Uncle Rufus, is like he knows some of the culture, and he's like, I know some things. Like he started talking to him in African language, and Malcolm is like, oh yeah, you are really good. And I was like, I really thought he's gonna got caught in this movie, but he didn't. Overall, it was hilarious to watch. If you are African, you are offended by this movie, I don't definitely mean to offend you. I just thought all these jokes are really funny. Not that this movie is great overall or anything. I thought all this scene involving Matumbe, pretending to be Matumbe, were funny. Anyway, that was my thought on this movie. Thank you so much for checking this out, this review. If you enjoyed my review, don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to leave your comment. Do you enjoy this movie or what? And take care.